Hi, welcome to Healing Humanity. My name is Dina, and I want to talk to you today about hospitality and humility. So one of the things that I did when I was raising my family was, I always made sure to spend time volunteering. I always made sure to spend time with the kids. A lot of times we would, spend time talking in the car. I wouldn't have the radio going, on the way home from school or sports events, things like that, just so I could get to know what their lives were like. Another thing that was really important in my household was to make sure that phones weren't at the table. Of course, very early on, phones weren't even a thing, pagers or whatever. But as we grew and they grew, it was very important to not have things at the table. No newspapers, no phones, no toys, nothing. So we could come together as a family. And that's one of the things that's in the Bible that Jesus does is he always meets with various different people. He didn't preclude anyone from giving of himself to them. Like he met with the Pharisees, he met with tax collectors, he met with various types of sinners, he met with the rich and the poor, just so many different people, right? He didn't pick and choose who he would meet with. And he was always about the hospitality of it. He was about their hospitality to him, but also his to him to them. If there was healing that was needed, he never said no. If there was someone in pain or someone having trouble, he always helped them. And today, we talk about humility and we talk about hospitality, and I feel like we're failing greatly. One of the things that I've gone through in the last 8 years is some sort of humiliation ritual that a group of people got together and thought was a good idea. And part of the humiliation ritual, the end result is that they hope that you will take your own life. And I cannot understand the mentality of someone who plans that. I cannot tell you how many times I heard, you should be dead by now. Can you imagine hearing that? And what really concerns me is not what they did to me, but how many other people have gone through this. How many other people are being tortured, being controlled, having their lives controlled. I watched this guy and he shared how it works. And he said that we have, quote unquote, we can destroy your life if we want to. We have members of our group in every business, in every state, everywhere, and we're connected. And that's what I found. That's exactly what I found. I had trouble getting my driver's license. I had trouble getting the car registered. Just so many things. It was back to back to back. You'd think you'd get over one thing and then there'd be something else. They've got hackers that are involved in this. They've got just spiritual people. They have people in every industry, in almost every business. It's quite a racket. What they get in the end, I don't know. I couldn't even begin to understand. But the core of what we are supposed to be doing here is to show one another hospitality and humility. We are supposed to mimic, and if you're working for God, as you say you are supposed to mimic what Jesus did. And Jesus did not cause humiliation to anyone, even if they were a sinner. He did not plan the downfall of anyone. That's something man does, not God. And that needs to be stopped. That really needs to be stopped. And I think one of the ways that you can release your pride and get back to the hospitality and humility is to share time with your family. Put your pride aside, put your control aside, and listen to your family. Hear what they have to say. At first, it's probably going to be very uncomfortable. You're not used to it. Kids are playing on the tablets. You've got your phone. You're reading the newspaper, magazine, whatever. Maybe you're not even sitting down. Maybe one's standing at the counter, the other one's playing in the bathroom, and you got maybe 2 or 3 people sitting at the table. You have to force the issue to come together, to be humble enough to get to know one another. Because that's where it starts. It starts in your home. It starts with you. Nobody's going to come and change this for you. Nobody's going to change your heart for you. Nobody's going to come and save your family. You know, there was one time, love the person to death, but there was one time somebody said, actually a couple times, somebody said to me, a couple people said to me, you know, we never would have done XYZ. And I couldn't help but think, you're right. We would not have done that, but we would not have done that because our parents and our grandparents insisted we didn't. We were taught at a very young age how to behave and how not to behave. That's lacking in our culture, straight across the board. And if you want to live in a better world, you have to get back to sitting down with your family at home, getting to know them, putting your pride aside. You know, you're too good for that. You got investments you got to do. You've got business you've got to conduct. You have things you got to talk to people about. No, you don't. Not for that 40 minutes that you were spent at the dinner table enjoying and laughing with your fellow family or friends that come over. Because once you start to put your pride and your control aside and you sit down and you are hospitable to your family and you're humble in that atmosphere, you'll start to appreciate it more. And you'll be able to bring that out into the world. I cannot explain to you how important it is to build a healthy rhythm within your own home, within your own heart, and to come to your family first with a servant mentality, like Jesus did with all people that he met with. People he met on the street, people he was invited into their homes. He was a servant to everyone. And that's how you have to treat everyone in your family, and then hopefully you'll take what you learn from the interactions you have and how beneficial it can be, not just for like an end result financially. That's not what I'm talking about, but beneficial to your heart, beneficial to your soul, beneficial to your walk in the world and how you show up for others. I guarantee you'll learn a lot. You'll learn certainly a lot about your children, about your spouse or your partner. And through that, you learn a lot about yourself. And it can start the process of humbling yourself to be a servant first to your family and then to others. These humiliation rituals are nothing more than pride, control, and greed. And it's so disruptive to people's lives. It's disgusting, quite honestly. Many people don't come back from it, and I really wonder how many people have been lost. How many souls could have been saved with the lack of judgment, with the lack of control, and the lack of pride? That if you had put all of that aside, how many people could have actually been saved? Because you can't say that you're doing the work of God if you are doing things to harm other people, because that was never God's intent.